Good evening, and welcome back to the Poe Museum. Tonight, I'd like to show you a very special gift that Edgar Allan Poe gave to one of his young admirers. And this will be the subject of tonight's installment of the Curator's Crypt. So here it is. Actually, this isn't it. It's inside of this. And it's inside of this. So here it is. This is an 1845 book that Poe gave to a young admirer. And he inscribed it right there. For Miss Caroline Eugenie Andre, from her sincere friend Edgar A. Poe. And what's the book? Well, it's actually Xenosius, or the Pilgrim Convert, by Charles Constantine Pice. He was a pretty popular priest and author in the 19th century. And just incidentally, he was the chaplain to the United States Senate in 1832 to 1833. He was the first and only Catholic chaplain to the U.S. Senate. So that's pretty good. But otherwise, this is a book about a Catholic missionary. And the author describes it a little bit like this. The present work is not controversial, but explanatory. Its scope is to elucidate the spirit and character of the church, to portray in the person of Xenosius the movement which is going on among eminent and pious Protestant churchmen towards Rome, in which, besides those who have already made their peace with the church, may be numbered among others who, having the disposition, are waiting only for the propitious movement to follow the example of their more favored brethren. Sounds like a fun read. And this isn't the kind of thing that Poe generally read. One of Pice's books was reviewed in the Broadway Journal, the magazine that Poe was editing in 1845, but Poe didn't write the review. So we don't know exactly where Poe got the book or why he thought this would be a good gift for a young admirer who was probably in her early teens about the time, this Caroline Eugenie Andre. Now, who's she? Her mother, Aurelia Andre, was a good friend of Poe's aunt/mother-in-law, Maria Poe Clem, in Baltimore. And then later, Aurelia and her husband William moved up to Fordham College, where he taught music. And as you know, if you've been paying attention to previous videos, the Poes got a cottage in Fordham near the college, and Poe used to frequent Fordham College. He said that he drank and gambled and smoked with the Jesuits and never spoke a word about religion while he was there. And William Andre was one of the teachers there at the time. But also the whole Andre family was close to the Poes. In fact, Poe and Maria Clem were present at the baptism of their son, Edgar A. Andre. Sound familiar? And Caroline's sister says that she frequently would go to the Poe house and Edgar would let her collate his manuscripts while he was writing and roll up his scrolls afterwards. Yeah, he wrote on little scrolls. And that there's nothing she enjoyed more than the times when they would dance and carry on while Poe's sister Rosalie played polkas and waltzes on the piano. So these were good friends of the Poe family. So that's why I think that Poe didn't get this book because it's something that he would have read. It's because this is a good Catholic family that taught at Fordham College, and he thought that this is maybe something that they would appreciate. So it's actually kind of a thoughtful gift. And it's something we know that Caroline here cherished because it stayed in the family for generations until finally they gave it to a friend of the family who took it in 1999 to a taping of Antiques Roadshow. And that's where it first became publicly known. And not long after that, the Poe collector Susan Jaffe Taine purchased this, and she's the one who donated this to the Poe Museum. And one of the things I really like about this is that it shows you Poe's inner circle. Who were his close friends? They weren't all just writers and poets. They were musicians. They were also people who were friends of the family for years. And it almost takes you back in time, and you can imagine dancing to the polka while Poe's sister played the piano over at his cottage. Another thing I like about this is that the museum already had a similar book with a similar story that Poe also gave to one of his young admirers, who was about 11 years old at the time, about the same age as Caroline was when he gave her that book. And this one he gave to a girl named Louisa Ann Lynch with a pretty similar inscription: to Miss Louisa Ann Lynch with the compliments of her sincere friend Edgar A. Poe. And this is also something that she cherished, and it stayed in her family until it came to her granddaughter, who bequeathed it to the Poe Museum back in the 1970s. And this book, also a pretty thoughtful gift. It's a collection of children's stories. So maybe this is the kind of thing that Louisa Ann Lynch would have liked, whereas maybe this is the kind of thing that Caroline Eugenie Andre would have enjoyed reading. And I know that on the last installment of the Curator's Crypt, we told you how much Poe's fiance's children just couldn't stand him, but usually children loved Poe. They thought he was a great, funny, entertaining guy. So hopefully that sheds a little bit of a different light on Poe. So what do you think? Would you have enjoyed getting one of these books from Edgar Allan Poe? Let us know down in the comments. And if you'd like to help us preserve precious Poe pieces, like these Poe gifts, why not make a gift to the Poe Museum or become a member at poemuseum.org. And until next time, thanks for joining us, and I'll leave you with more gratuitous footage of Edgar the Poe Museum cat dressed up like a bat.